Okay, so now we're going to put some things together and we're going to take some of the stuff that we've learned from previous, sort of way back in the class to what we just learned about being able to um, move elements around. And we're going to do some cool stuff. This is probably the most fun that we're going to be able to have in this lesson. The next one on animation is pretty cool too. So let's take a look here. You should be starting off with some code. And this says hover over me to see me change. All right. Now, all we're doing right now, if we look at it, is we have a div colon hover. And so what's going to happen when the mouse goes over that, it's going to change from being 100 pixels to being 200 pixels. Okay? So not too crazy. So you can see it makes it bigger. We've played with this a little bit. Now what we're going to do though is we're going to add something called transition, and that's going to make all the difference in terms of having fun. Okay? So we do transition, and what we're doing is specifying which of the transitions do we want to take how long. So transition width, we want it to take 2 seconds. Okay? So watch this. Now when we hover over it, what? How fun is that? Now it's animated, right? It looks cool and animated. And we can do all kinds of things here. We don't have to just do width. Let's say we want to say background is red, okay? Now if we do that, watch this. Now that just automatically turns it red, but what if we want that to take a little bit of time too? So then we can say background is, let's say that takes 3 seconds, so it's a little bit slower, but watch. Oh, so here we make a little bit of a change, and then watch what happens. Now it it extends and it turns to a different color, all because we specify in here transition. So I added a background color change, and then width changes at 2 seconds. Takes 2 seconds for the change to happen, comma, background color, 2 seconds for the change to happen. So that's very, very cool, right? All right, so the first thing I want you to do is I want you to change the width of a box. You'll already have the div colon hover with the width of the box here. All I want you to do is add the transition, and you can do both if you want, or just one, the width and the background color. Remember to do the comma. I forgot to do the comma, and it created some problems. And so then create something like this. Okay? And then next, what we want to do is we want to use what we learned just recently in terms of transforming. So let's watch this. We want to do a transform, rotate, and how's that rotate work? So we're going to rotate 90 degrees, right? And now, how cool is this? Oh. All right, so what we're going to do here is we put in this transition. So I changed this to transform, rotate 90 degrees, and then I added this transition, colon, transform 2 seconds. So what it's going to do is it's going to, as I roll over it, it's going to rotate 90 degrees, right? How cool is that? And remember, this is where you can start using things like moving stuff around, the 3D transforms, and all that stuff. But before we do that, I want to just do this. Let's show this, because I think it's cool to do 360 degrees. All right? So now, woo! And I move it over, woo! Fun. Okay. And so let's take a look at some other things here. So now, let's say we're doing our transform and we want to do rotate 360 degrees. Let's say we want to do scale. Remember, we're going to do 1.25. That's going to make it 1 1/4. We'll do it bigger. We'll just make it a bigger. So it's going to scale like that. And we're going to translate it so that it goes let's say we're going to go 200 pixels to the right and 200 pixels down, give ourselves some room. And then we're even going to skew it. Let's say we're going to skew it 45 degrees on the x-axis, 45 degrees on the y-axis. Now, all right, let's see if Mr. O'Leary did this right. Oh, hold on. Now, why does that do that? That's interesting. All right, so what I did was I created a transform. I gave it a 360 degree rotate like we just had, and then I did some playing around with moving it along the screen. It's a little challenging because I'm hovering over it, so once I move it along the screen, it creates some weird effects. I'm making it a little bit bigger with my scaling. Remember, sort of 125% bigger, 125% bigger, and then I'm skewing it as well. So you can look, I just create some craziness. What? It can't do anything. It doesn't know what it's doing. And you're going to have to experiment with how that's going to actually work. But that is something that you can do. So really what you get to do is decide how to get good at understanding what you want to have happen. And later on in the next class, when we learn about JavaScript, you're going to learn how to do things like you can have it respond to your clicks as opposed to just hovering over it. But right now, that's kind of cool. So what I want you to do here, all I really want you to do is I want you to create an animated rotation of a box using a transition tag. I think the easiest thing to do would just be to focus on doing the rotating because that enables you to stay in one place, right? But if you want to, that's really, frankly, the probably the best way to start. Okay. All right. So the key thing is get your two elements of the assignment, and that'll give you a good start. And then you can play around a little bit, maybe in the sandbox, play around with what other types of movement you might want to make. Okay.